Hello everyone, my name is Sark and welcome back to another SH Monster Arts review. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Godzilla, the original Godzilla from 1954. This is the 70th anniversary special version or special edition with the accurate poster colors. So yeah, this guy just recently came out, that's why I'm making a video right now. He has not come out over here in the seas. He has released in Japan, however. So that's why I was able to get one real quickly. Thank you, Nin Game. Unfortunately, they can't sell these anymore for some reason because they lost the license to selling them. But if you wanted to get one, you'll probably be able to find it in Hobby Genki or even Ami. So if you want to get one right after this review, then you can definitely do so. But yeah, besides that, let's take a look at this guy and see how he looks. Alright, so here we have the 1954 OG Godzilla, the one that started it all. This guy looks absolutely amazing. He is quite tiny though. He stands at a whopping 6 inches to the top of his head, and in terms of the length, if you were to flatten the whole tail, it's about 10 inches. So this guy actually is a regular size Godzilla pretty much. SH MonsterArts goes with the 6-inch line, which is more than reasonable. So yeah, this guy has a really nice paint job going throughout the entire body and the sculpt. I am surprised that they were able to capture such an iconic poster into a figure itself. Granted, it is just a remold or pretty much a reissue of the original 1954 Godzilla, just with a different coat of paint, which is the usual for Tamashii. So I do not expect anything to have been fixed or improved from that version. I'm not entirely sure how the reputation of the original figure was, but I know that people are loving this guy. So yeah, overall the paint application is perfect. The dorsal fins are absolutely gorgeous with that brown wash and that bony texture. It's really, really nice. It does make it feel like they're bones instead of just something that grows out of them. I like that. And of course, the brown wash throughout, it seems like he's molded in brown with a slight hint of light brown applied throughout the body in some dark areas as well. Although the tail does kind of lose that paint job. As always, they always miss out on the tail for some reason, don't know why. And then of course, the eyes. The eyes are meant to look like this because he is the 1954 poster edition. And he does have ears, which is really nice. I actually do really like this look for Godzilla. So yeah, I'm quite astonished and surprised as to how well they were able to capture the poster colors into a figure. Is this a perfect Godzilla? So far, from aesthetic purposes, I think he looks pretty perfect. Even the nails are painted beautifully. The feet are painted amazingly. Like, they're perfect in my opinion. I don't think they missed out on anything here. It's definitely a big contrast and a big difference between the MonsterVerse Evolved Godzilla, where it had so many issues with the paint job, compared to this guy. It is magnificent. So it definitely goes to show what they care about the most. They definitely do care about their original boy more in this instance. But yeah, in terms of the articulation, now this is my first 1954 Godzilla. I do not have the original one, so this is going to be sort of me finding out how this guy functions. I know probably some of you have already gotten this guy in the past, which is fine. If you want to skip to the accessory section, that's perfectly fine by me. But this guy, he stands upright pretty well, actually. I think he has a pretty good position pose, but he can look down about that far with a slight gap. He can look up about that far, which is actually pretty decent. And of course, he can look a little bit side to side using both the neck joint and the head joint. We do have a hinge for the mouth that can open about that far. I heard some people had issues opening the mouth, that it was a little bit too tight, so you might have to use some heat or put him in warm water. Now, for the arms, we do have, seems to be ball joints that we can move forward about that far and backwards about this far. And that's me pushing it with the actual sculpt of the figure. So, it's somewhat limited range, but at the same time, it's more than enough for this Godzilla for sure. Double jointed, seems double jointed elbows, kind of, or single jointed actually, with which only gets you about a 45-degree angle in terms of how much you're able to pose it, which is fine. We do have a wrist swivel and a ball peg for the wrist, of course. For the torso itself, we can pop it out if we wanted to, but let's not. He can look down about that far, which is actually pretty decent. With the head itself, you can make him look down pretty far, which is nice. Again, you'll just have that area where you just have to sort of put it back in, like so. Can you rotate him side to side? I don't think so. The sculpt does not allow him to do that. For the legs, you can spread them out pretty decently. Full-on spreads for Godzilla. I think that's the first Godzilla that can do that I have. No, Ultima can do that, so never mind. So this is the second one that can do it. Pretty much double jointed knees that don't really do much. He has pretty fat legs, so he can only get them down a little bit very nicely. Again, somewhat limited, but it makes the most sense for this Godzilla. You're not going to have him do like ninja poses or parkour with this guy. If you can, awesome. If you can't, that's fine. Foot hinge or foot joint, pivot down that far, pivot upward that far, and of course rock it side to side, and you can rotate it a little bit if you wanted to. Now the tail is pretty much perfect, although a little bit limited. You can crunch them about that far without any issues with the ball joints themselves. Very nicely done. We've definitely seen that they sometimes mess up the tail a little bit. He can put it up that far, and then of course you can put it down about that far too. So the tail is pretty much perfect. There is no issues whatsoever with the actual joints from the looks of it, and I like that. Yes, could I pop them out and check them out? Yes, but I'm not gonna. So this guy, already in terms of articulation and aesthetic, he is getting a pretty good score on my behalf. But let's look at the accessories and see how those look, because he actually comes with stuff. So let's take a look at those real quick. Alright, so with a Godzilla that actually comes with accessories, this is kind of new for me and probably you as well. So, this guy, since he's the 70th anniversary version, he does come with a 70th anniversary base for the figure itself. It's just hard plastic with the logo printed on top of it, although it is very nicely done. It does work as an actual base where you can put in your stuff and everything like that if you wanted to. You just have to take these off and then put your stands and everything like that. Now, he also comes with a regular acrylic base, which is actually really nice. I didn't expect them to include this, especially since he was already coming with one specifically made for him. So there is that. Now, he does come with the actual arm to use for the airplane, and technically also his atomic breath or fire breath, which is really nicely done. A very clear plastic. Feels acrylic for sure. So it's not soft plastic whatsoever. It is very nicely done. I like it. So especially the transition from going from the red to the orange to the yellow, that is really well done. I want them to do more stuff like this, not just soft plastic stuff. We do have the usual 2 sets of hands to hold the airplanes for both sides if you wanted to. And of course, the 2 airplanes that are found in the poster. I think there's 2, I don't remember. But yeah, this guy does come with a decent amount of accessories. Now, there is one downside to this figure, and it is based on the accessories themselves. There is only one arm stand to hold the airplane. But at the same time, you need the arm to hold the atomic breath, which is sometimes an issue, especially when they don't actually give you everything. Especially with, I mean, you could definitely have more laying around. I probably have 1 or 2 laying around on my own, but again, would love it if they would have included 2 instead of just 1. And at the same time, there is this little tiny piece that you have to be really careful about that goes into the airplane. Now, this little acrylic attachment goes onto the airplane hole right here. You attach it real easily, like so. And then this hole is big enough to actually put onto the stand itself. Whichever side, both sides are the exact same length. Actually, no, never mind, just on one side. My bad. This one is bigger than the other. And then you have the airplane attached onto the actual arm. So, very easily doable, especially for a lot of people. It's just do be careful when opening the box or any of the accessories for the base and everything. This will either pop out and be lost forever, or stay on the actual packaging. But besides that, moving on to my final thoughts, I think this Godzilla is pretty much the perfect package that encapsulates the legacy of Godzilla, and it's definitely a well worth figure. Overall, without the issue of the extra arm stand, I'm gonna give this Godzilla a first of a 10 out of 10. I think he has more than sufficient accessories. The paint job is immaculate, and I love how they've done his whole aesthetic with the brown coloring. It's definitely a nice breaking away from the usual traditional gray Godzillas, the charcoal looking Godzillas. The brown looking Godzilla looks absolutely beautiful, especially with the bone looking dorsal plates. Love it. I think they nailed it out of the park, and they hit it out of the park for this Godzilla. And I think it's more than sufficient. And it's definitely deserved, because this guy is a 70th anniversary edition. He should be special, especially after 70 years of Godzilla. This guy started it all, and this guy is almost... for me, it's a perfect release. That's why I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. And if you were looking to get this guy, he is widely available, although his pricing is a little bit questionable. He's $120, but he's definitely cheaper if you import it. That is all I'm going to say. So, besides that, that's all the time I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this Godzilla. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you like the color scheme for this guy? But besides that, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.